Hello everybody, Rando Calrissian here. Before we begin, I would just like to say I hope everyone had an amazing Christmas and a very happy New Year. That being said, I would also like to apologize. I know this video is very late. Things have been very busy as of late, and I just really haven't had any time to do these and make this video and, of course, edit. YouTube is not my full-time job, so it's very hard for me to find spare time to do this. But thank you everyone so much for being patient. I hope you all enjoyed the video, and with that being said, let's get into it. Remakes are often a very tricky and fickle thing. They can either bring life and reimagination to a franchise that have gone completely stale and maybe even veered towards the silly side. Or they can be like The Last of Us remake, a soulless cash grab that genuinely had no right to be made. So, which category does Resident Evil 4 fall into? Well, the thing is, I don't know. Yes, as I said in part 1, Resident Evil 4 is one of my most favorite games of all time. But, having never played the original, I don't know what category it falls into. Whether it's soulless, or has soul bred back into it. I don't know, and that's exactly what this series is doing here today. We're going to break down both games. I'm going to go through them, compare them, see which one is better, and see if Resident Evil 4 is worthy of a amazing, masterful remake that had every right to be made, that brought life back into the franchise. Yes, while I did grow up around the time that the original was made, I never played the original. So again, as I said in part 1, I am going in nostalgia free. Which one is better? Is the original the best game of all time and means the remake had no right being made? Or is the remake truly better and had every right to be made? And does it bring back faith and soul into a stale and somewhat silly franchise? We're going to find that out today in original versus remake. With all that out of the way, you know what time it is. Roll the intro. Before we begin, there's a couple things that I'd like to clear up. So, for example, I said that in that really weird, bizarre cutscene, you know which one I'm talking about, that I didn't know what happened because the entire time I'm looking at Leon's face. But someone told me if you go back over to the bridge and look over it, you can actually see the aftermath of what happened in that cutscene, as showcased right here. Alright, cool. So now we know what happened. The locals got into a truck, hit the cop car, and drove it into the lake, and broke the bridge in the process. Cool, awesome. Thank you to people who pointed that out, because if you didn't tell me, I genuinely wouldn't know. Secondly, I just want to say that the Chainsaw Man's name is not Dr. Salazar, it's Dr. Salvador. Thank you for correcting me on that. I genuinely didn't know that. I thought it was Salazar, not Salvador. So I appreciate that. And thirdly, there's a very easy way to turn around this game. If you push down and X or O, you can actually turn around very quickly as showcased right here. So again, thank you for letting me know that. It has made this game so much easier. Alright, so let's get into where we left off, where the bell rang at the church.
Hunnigan, I have some bad news. I've confirmed the body of an officer. Something's happened to the people here.
Leon, you need to get out of there. Look for a tower and follow the trail near it.
Got it.
From there, we do exactly what the lady says. We look for the tower with the trail near it. And going into this next room, or next place, I guess, I realize that right here, right now, the people in this game are absolute bullet sponges. I didn't really notice it in the town square, but here I really did. Especially when I shot this guy point blank with a shotgun, and he got back up like nothing happened. What the heck? Are you serious? There's no way. In the remake, that shotgun absolutely tears people in half. But here, they fall over, get up, and brush it off like nothing happened. Yeah, it's going to be one of those games. Alright, from here I find the door that I'm supposed to go into, and I noticed a big difference. Right here, I run away from a boulder. Not actually the worst thing in the world. It shows that these people will go through any lengths to kill me, even pushing over a boulder that I need to dodge. Kind of cool. After escaping the boulder on what was definitely my first try, we go to another part of the town where we're introduced to Luis Serra, a disgruntled Umbrella employee that was captured by this cult.
I used to be a cop in Madrid.
Oh, excuse me, a cop. Anyways, we rescue him from the cabinet, and then of course, he asks us a very important question. What is this question, you might ask? Well, he doesn't ask who we are, what we're doing, or how we even found him. What he asks is one of life's most important questions. Well, I'll stop talking and see for yourself.
Okay, I have only one very important question. You got a smoke?
Got gum.
Perfect. The big cheese.
What?
Excuse me? The big cheese? Now, obviously, this is the chief of the village, but why call him the big cheese? Honestly, I know this is 2005, and a lot of people told me I'd ease into the dialogue, but the big cheese? Oh my gosh. From here, much like in the remake, we're injected with a Las Plagas parasite. However, this time it kind of implies that Lord Sadler was there. Well, in the remake, it's more of Vision. And we'll get to that once we get to it, but I just find that change a little interesting. Anyways, we're injected with the parasite, and then of course, we wake up in a room with Luis.
Hey, wake up.
Ay. Crawl out of one hole and into another.
You want to tell me what's going on here?
Americano, see? Now what brings a bloke like you to this part of the world? Oh, hey, easy, whoever you are.
Name's Leon. Came here looking for this girl. Seen her?
What, are you supposed to be a cop or something? Nah, you don't look the type.
Maybe.
Okay, let me guess. She's the president's daughter?
That's too good for a guess. Want to start explaining?
Psychic powers. Nah, just kidding with you, amigo. I overheard one of the villagers talking something about the president's daughter in the church.
And who might you be?
Me llamo Luis Serra. I used to be a cop in Madrid. But now I'm just a good-for-nothing guy who happens to be quite a ladies' man.
Why'd you quit?
Phew, policia. You put your...
From here, Leon tells Luis that he used to be a cop himself and talks about Raccoon City, which Luis seems to know about. From here, stuff plays out how it does in the original. A guy comes in that both Luis and Leon needs to kill in order to escape, and then instead of Luis helping us, he ends up running off, leaving us to fend for ourselves. However, I will say that I think it's much better how the remake did this. In the remake, you actually are left with nothing, and you have to go out and find all your stuff, find all your weapons, everything you need to fend for yourself, and then of course you can progress to the next step. But in this one, it's left with you, and I just find that change a little odd. Anyways, we talk to Ingrid Hunnigan, and we tell her that Ashley is in the church. We also tell her that we know about a secret pathway that leads to the church. She tells us to go there and find the president's daughter. And it's here we run into one of the most popular and one of the most renounced characters in Resident Evil 4, the Merchant.
Over here, stranger.
I have to say that I'm not a big fan of the merchant in this game. He gives the same answers and the same responses no matter what you do. For example, if you hit the buy button, he just responds with a simple,
What are you buying?
in the same vein, if you try to sell something, he just responds with the simple, what are you selling? I don't know, and this is purely just my opinion because I know a lot of people love the merchant from the original Resident Evil 4. But in my opinion, in the remake, he has so much more personality. He says a lot more stuff, and he feels a lot more mysterious. Like, a lot more out of place. I don't know. Here, he seems like he oddly fits. But in the remake, he feels like he's not supposed to be there, which adds sort of a mysterious factor to him. Maybe I'm dead wrong on this, but that's just the feeling I get from it. Anyways, from here we fight through countless waves of people infected with a Los Plagas parasite. Honestly, I have to say right now that these controls are kinda growing on me. Yes, they were very annoying when I first started, but now I'm kinda getting the hang of them. I understand that if I had played this game when I was a kid, these controls, because they were present in so many games, would have been kind of second nature to me. So I'm really not going to hold it against the game for using these controls. Yes, it's over the shoulder, and yes, this was one of the first games to kind of do this. But at the same time, now that it's 2024, almost 2025, holy crap, I don't know, I'm just not used to them in the way I would have been when I was a kid, but I will say, again, they are growing on me, so it's getting a little bit easier. Anyways, once we're done fighting with them, we find 2 pieces of a key we need to unlock the door to progress to the next step. After we go through the door with the emblem on it, we seem to find ourselves in a place that seems to be a warehouse/underground sewer area. And I actually really like this part of the game. It shows, well, these people, while they may have always been a cult, they had workers at one point. They had trade, they had livelihoods. It's a world building that is very impressive, especially for the time period that this game was made in, that being 2005. And I just really like it because the world building, as I said, is really, really solid here. But anyways, let's continue the next part. We climb up this ladder and we go to what seems to be the Big Cheese's house. You know what I mean, the Big Cheese. Chief, or whatever he's called, damn it. We head into his place of solitude, and this is where I figure out that the puzzles in this game are nowhere near as intricate as the remake. Yes, they're still there, of course, it is the original, but they're just so much easier and so much easier to figure out. It took me no time at all to solve this puzzle. Don't believe me? Just watch for yourself. Now, I know that there's a lot of game left, but I must say I was very disappointed with this puzzle. For a game renowned for its puzzle solvings, and that's one of the things that people talk to me about, was the puzzles in this game. I don't know, I just was not very impressed with that puzzle. Maybe they get better, but from here, it's not really looking good. Anyways, we find ourselves in the chief's room, and we actually go through a door, and we hear people talking, and we run in, none other than the Big Chief himself, which is actually a very, very good and bad cutscene. Take a watch for yourself.
Nuestro jefe se cuidará de la rata. Si la plaga es mucho mejor que la nuestra. Tienes razón.
You carry the same blood as us, it seems. Nevertheless, you're an outsider. Just remember, if you become unpleasant to our eyes, you'll face severe consequences.
What? Same blood.
Alright, let's go into what works and doesn't work in this cutscene. First and foremost, I like the false sense of security that it places you into, making you think that the chief is down the hallway, and just when Leon takes one step, he strikes. I also like how, in this game, instead of just Leon's eyes being a little bloodshot, his eyes are red, showing that there is something clearly wrong with Leon. You, the player, know that he's infected, but Leon does not know yet. And I like how he's very confused at the end, saying this.
What? Same blood.
I like this because it shows that even though Leon has had years of training at this point, he still feels way in over his head and like he's not fully prepared for the challenge in front of him. It makes him feel very weak, even though we're supposed to be playing as a very strong character. It shows us that he's completely out of his element. Instead of dealing with mindless zombies, he's dealing with a very intelligent people controlled by a very intelligent leader. And it's just kind of, I don't know, interesting and bold, and it takes it in a different direction than I never thought it would. But now let's go into what does not work about this cutscene. My god, the voice. Could they have not chosen a different voice for the chief? I mean, just take a listen.
You carry the same blood as us, it seems. Nevertheless, you're an outsider. Just remember, if you become unpleasant to our eyes, you'll face severe consequences.
Look, again, I get it. 2005. Voice acting was not a priority in 2005, especially for Resident Evil, which was veering towards the silly side at this point. This is still a very intense game, but make no mistake, it was very, very silly. It didn't take itself too seriously, so voice acting wasn't necessarily the biggest priority. But could you have not chosen a different voice for one of the most intimidating guys on the game? Or better yet, just make him say nothing. A lot like Mr. X. Mr. X does not say a single thing in Resident Evil 2, but this guy chats it up throughout most of his screen time. Why? Just have him say nothing if you can't have it. You know what? Let's just get into the next part of the game. From here, we get another call from Ingrid Hunnigan. She tells us that there is a religious group there called the Los Illuminados. And, well, they're what we're fighting right now. We also tell her that we learned that we have the same blood as we... Why am I explaining this? Just listen to the cutscene.
Leon, I've been able to get some new info that might help you.
Fill me in.
Apparently, there's a religious cult group involved. They're called the Los Illuminados.
Los Illuminados. That's a mouthful. Anyway, I had an unexpected run-in with the big cheese of this village.
But you're okay, right?
Yeah, but he could have killed me, but he let me live. And he mentioned something about me carrying the same blood as them. Whatever that means.
Carry the same blood. Huh. Interesting.
Anyway, there are more important things than solving riddles right now.
You're right. Hurry and find that church, Leon.
From here, we fight our way back through all the old familiar places that we've seen before until we reach the church. And there it is, in all its glory. And if this is anything like the remake, the door is locked.
Hunnigan, it's Leon. The door's locked. I can't get in.
Didn't they teach you how to pick locks at the academy?
There's some sort of indentation, like something might fit inside.
Well, there's no use standing around. Leon, you have to find some way or something to get inside.
I love how Ingrid Hunnigan's interactions get more and more snarky as the games go on. Like she's getting sick of Leon's BS. Kind of like saying, listen, I'm not there, figure it out for yourself. Anyways, after the horrendous scene that you just saw of me getting grabbed and exploded 1,000 times, from here we make our way down to the fishing village and we're introduced to the same cutscene that we see in the remake. Of course, we see one of the cops, I believe it was the one that wandered off in the remake, getting fed to the fish. And of course it plays out the same way that it does in the remake. They throw it in, they go away, and then the ginormous fish eats the cop. Same old stuff, you don't really need to see it. From here we find the boat that we need, and of course we need to find it some gas for... Actually, no, it's just gonna go ahead and start right up for us. Yeah, so in the remake, you need to find gas for the boat, but in the original, it's already gassed up and ready to go. Honestly, I don't know if I like this change. On the one hand, sure, we have gas in the boat, we don't need to find it, but on the second hand, it gets rid of that puzzles that these games are so known for. Anyways, from here we go into the boss fight with this giant. In this game, it looks a lot more like a crocodile. In the other game, it just looks like a giant fish. I don't know. However, this boss fight, I will say, is nowhere near as infuriating as I thought that would be. That comes later. Gee, I wonder what I'm foreshadowing. Anyways, I beat the boss with relative ease, which very much surprised me, because of the controls in this game, I thought I'd have a much harder time. But it was pretty easy, unlike some things. Gee, I wonder what I'm foreshadowing. Anyways, Leon makes his way back up to the village, and this is where he actually passes out. You see, in the remake, he passes out in the boat, but in the original, he passes out in the town. Which I don't like, because anyone could have walked up on him and killed him. Anyways, let's just get into the next cutscene when he wakes up.
Leon, it's been 6 hours since our last transmission.
Wait, time out, stop everything. 6 hours since their last transmission. That he was just lying down on the floor. Find that very hard to believe, especially with a city full of cultists. Anyways, he talks about how he had the dream where the Lost Plagas parasite took over his blood, and he thinks that's what the chief is talking about when he says he shares the same blood. Anyways, from here we wake up and we work our way back to the church, but of course we have to find that damn emblem first. And of course, well, we do. We work our way through some spaghetti heads, which actually look really good in this game, and then we're led to a path where it gives us the illusion of a puzzle. I say the illusion because no matter how you shoot these boxes, it's going to land in the perfect place for you to go and find the emblem. And of course, we have to find heads in order to put in keyholes, in order to make the emblem get out. Never mind, we just find it in a door. Again, the puzzle solving in this game is just not as good as the remake. For a game that is renowned for its puzzles, I have to say, I'm very, very disappointed. But let's go into the church and let's find Ashley. Alright, at the home stretch, time to find Ashley. Oh no. No. This boss fight is not in this game. Yep, that's right. We fight the troll. This just might be the worst boss fight of all time. Mixed with the controls of this game, this boss fight is so aggressively bad. At first, I thought that I needed to shoot at his clear weak point, the cut on his back. But no. All the game wants you to do is run around, shoot at him until you dwindle his health down. And you have to do it 3 times, to which you will run out of ammo. Trust me, you will run out of ammo because he is a bullet sponge. And then you have to use your knife. When I tell you that I died over and over and over again, I died over and over and over again. Screw this boss fight, I never want to see it again. This is the worst boss fight of the game. I'm not wrong. You can quote me on that. I hate this boss fight. Alright, so after we survive that mess, we work our way back to the church and solve what is a very interesting and intricate puzzle. Honestly, it's a lot harder than the puzzle in the remake, because you have to match up shapes in the way that you don't have to in the remake. And I really enjoy it. Anyways, I solve the puzzle, a door opens, I go upstairs and I rescue Ashley. And may I just say, the interaction between her and Leon is interesting, to say the least.
Ashley!
Don't come!
Hey! Take it easy.
No! Get away!
Calm down. Everything's going to be just fine. My name's Leon. I'm under the President's order to rescue you.
What? My father?
That's right. And I have to get you out of here. Now come with me.
Not a bad interaction, just not a good one by any stretch of the imagination. Anyways, we talk to Ingrid Hunnigan and tell her that we have rescued the president's daughter. Of course, she tells us that she's going to get a helicopter out there for us to get to. And then we run into the main villain of the game. And may I just say, I absolutely love Lord Sadler in this. Just take a look for yourself.
My name is Osmond Sadler, the master of this fine religious community.
What do you want?
To demonstrate to the whole world our astounding power, of course. No longer will the United States think they can police the world forever. So, we kidnapped the president's daughter in order to give her our power and then send her back.
No. Leon, I think they shot something in my neck.
What did you do to her?
We just planted her a little gift. Oh, there's going to be one hell of a party when she returns home to her loving father. But before that, I thought I might bargain with the president for some donation. Believe it or not, it takes quite a lot of money to keep this church up and running.
Faith and money will lead you nowhere, Sadler.
Oh, I believe I forgot to tell you that we gave you the same gift.
When I was unconscious.
Oh, I truly hope you like our small but special contributions. When the eggs hatch, you will become my puppets. Involuntarily, you'll do as I say. I'll have total control over your minds. Don't you think this is a revolutionary way to promulgate one's faith?
Sounds more like an alien invasion if you ask me.
This is amazing. You see, in the remake, Lord Sadler feels very dangerous because he seems to believe in everything that he's saying. He seems to really encourage his followers and shares in their beliefs. In this game, however, he's nothing more than a mustache-twirling villain that wants money. And I absolutely love it. Alright, finally done with this part. Now I can get this video at... Oh, right. We still got the remake. Shit, this is gonna be a long video. Okay, so anyways, the bell rings and we're introduced to a cutscene where Ingrid Hunnigan calls us. And, well, let's let the conversation play out.
Routes to Condor 1. I've identified a route to the lake. Look for a large windmill. There's a path on the far side of it.
Windmill. Copy that.
And be careful. Roost out.
Again, I love their relationship a lot more in this because they have code names for each other, and Leon's a lot more respectful. Anyways, we find the windmill, and we're introduced to a very brand new enemy type, specific so far to this game, the Brute. The Brutes add much needed flavor and variety to the enemies in this game. They're very, very hard to take down initially because, well, they are bullet sponges. And I actually kind of like how they're bullet sponges. Unlike the bullet sponges in the original, it makes sense for these guys to be bullet sponges because of how much bigger and stronger they are than anything else. But, if you know what you're doing and you're clever, you can actually take them down pretty easily. Anyways, once that's over, we find the wheel that we need for the door in the windmill, we open it, and then we go to the other side of the town, where we find Luis Serra. But in this time, the banging doesn't come from him, it comes from a local banging on a hidden door. We go through that door, and we find somebody in a body bag squirming. Now, when I first played this game, I actually thought that was Ashley, but of course it's not, it is Luis Serra.
That
hurts, you know?
Seemed like you really wanted to talk.
How observant, senor. Now, say, you got a smoke?
You know, those things will kill you.
Oh, well, maybe just untie me then, huh? Joder, not this guy!
Who are you? Yeah, stop right there!
Sacrificial lamb, you will receive our most sacred body. It begins now.
I'm sorry, I know that was long, but that cutscene needed to be shown, because I love that cutscene. There's no cheesy dialogue between Leon and the Chief, and no remark about how the Chief is called the Big Cheese. I understand that the 2005 original game was much more silly, but I love how this takes itself much more seriously. Also, Luis never says he's a cop. In fact, he's very vague about who he is, and when he admits to Leon he knows who he's looking for, well, this happens.
You're here looking for someone? One more guess. Maybe some missing senorita?
Young girl? Talk. Now.
All right. See. Heard chatter about moving a senorita.
Moving her. Where?
Who knows? But later, saw some men dragging someone to the old church. Hanging with you, not helpful.
Hey, we're not done here!
Later, amigo.
Shit, they took my gear. Condor 1 to Roost. I've located Baby Eagle. It sounds like she's being kept in some church.
Great. That's good news.
I heard it from this guy I met. Said his name is Luis Serra. There's something fishy about him. I need you to run a background check.
We'll call Condor 1. I'll see what I can find. In the meantime, make your way to that church.
Right. I'm probably due for confession anyway. Condor 1, out.
I love how neither character gives too much away. Luis Serra doesn't come out outright and say, I'm a cop, like he does in the original, and Leon doesn't say that he's looking for the president's daughter. Their confrontation is very brief, and yes, they help each other, but Luis gets away, letting you know that you can't really trust him. I honestly really like that aspect. Also, as I mentioned when I was going over the original, you do not have your stuff with you. You have to go and retrieve it. And once you do, of course, we're met with the Merchant, who has way more personality in this game than he does in the original. Just take a listen for yourself.
Over here, stranger. Let's do some business then. I see you took care of a request. Welcome. Well done. You've proven yourself reliable. Got some rare things on sale, stranger. Oh, my back is killing me. Years haven't been kind to us, I suppose.
I absolutely love the Merchant in this game. He has so much more personality than he does in the original. He actually feels like he's talking to you, but Leon's too weary of him to start up a conversation. I love it so much. Now, I know some people would say that's blasphemous, but again, you gotta take it from my perspective. as this is my first time playing the original, and the remake is one of my favorite games, so of course I'm going to favor it a little bit more than the original, and again, this is all my opinion, so please take that with a grain of salt. Another thing that I love about the Merchant is he feels like he doesn't belong in this world that he's in, where in the original, he kind of oddly fits, and I don't really like that. Here, he feels completely out of place, and that is awesome. From here, we find a key that goes to this door. As we go through this door, we fight through waves of enemies in order to get to the house of the chief. Once we get there, we find an interesting ball that is actually a key to one of the main doors. And the puzzle is very similar to the original, however, much more intricate and much more hard to solve. You have to match up the correct shape of the dots with the Lost Plagas parasite. It's not super hard, but it is much more difficult than the original, where you just have to click some right and left buttons. And of course from here, we run into the chief. And this cutscene, it's good, but it's also not good. And I'll break it down just like I break down the original. So let's get into it.
Blood has accepted the gift.
Alright, just like before, I'll break down the good and the bad. Here's the bad. The chief speaks again. I don't like it when bad guys like this speak. The voice is a lot more intimidating, but why have him speak? Why not just have him be a voiceless entity? Also, I don't like how Leon's eyes look. They just look like regular bloodshot eyes. It doesn't really show us that something's wrong with Leon, we wouldn't know if he didn't say anything. So I guess the speaking's kind of necessary, but I still don't like it. Okay, let's talk about the good in this cutscene. The good is that my implication from earlier, how the cop's body might have rejected the Lost Plagas parasite, is pretty much confirmed because the chief says, your blood has accepted the gift, implying that sometimes your body can reject the Lost Plagas parasite, killing you upon infection. And I really like that. From here, Ingrid Hunnigan calls us back and confirms that Louise Serra was once an Umbrella employee, and that's why I thought in the original they were going to do the same thing. Now of course I haven't finished the original yet, so I don't know if they're going to do the same thing, but I honestly think they changed it for this game, and I really like that change of him being an Umbrella employee rather than a cop, or should I say, a disgruntled Umbrella employee. I really, really like that. From here, we save the goodest boy in the world, as is tradition in these games, and then we go on with the rest of our quest. From here, we go back to the town square, and holy crap! Yeah, so in this game, they actually blow up that lighthouse, or whatever it was, blocking one of your paths. And of course, we fight the dogs, which are in the original, but in the original, I haven't had the stomach to talk about them because, well, they're infuriating. Of course, from here we find our way to the church, and of course, it's locked. We work our way around to the fishing village and find this boat, which we have to find gas for. Once we find gas, we start the boss fight, which is way more infuriating than the troll boss fight in this game. Trust me. This boss fight might be infuriating for the same reason why the troll boss fight is so infuriating in the original. The reason why it's so infuriating is because this thing is an absolute bullet sponge, or I guess in this case, a spear sponge. This boss fight isn't necessarily hard, it just takes absolutely forever, and it takes up a big chunk of time out of this. I literally had to record this 3 separate times because I kept running out of space. Not in the recording time, but literally on my PS5. Anyways, once we finish the boss fight, Leon passes out in the boat.
Sacrificial lamb, you will receive our most sacred body. It begins now. When day breaks, you two will join our covenant to share in my holy blessing forever.
Condor 1 to Roost. Do you read me?
Condor 1? You've been radio silent for 3 hours. Are you all right?
Yeah, I'm fine. Won't let it happen again.
And the church?
I'm still looking for whatever key I need.
Copy that. I'm glad you're okay. Roost out.
Okay, so you remember how I said that it was better that Leon passed out in the boat rather than in the village? Well, that's kind of a double-edged sword, because even though he passed out in the boat, I mean, look at the boat. I mean, it's almost completely underwater. That thing has seen better days. Anyways, we go for the other side of the fishing village, and we face off against spaghetti heads. That's what I call them, spaghetti heads. In this game, it actually seems like a priest awakens the Las Plagas parasite inside the natives, rather than it just coming out randomly. And I actually really like that. It brings a sort of intensity to these foes, and lets you know why they are now what people call Stage 1 Las Plagas, rather than Stage 0, which is what Leon is. Anyways, we go into the cave, we find the key for the church, but we realize we have to solve a puzzle. We have to find something to fit in these hands. What is those, you may ask? Well, they are 2 stone heads, which will unlock the key we need to open up the church. We find the 2 stone heads and place them in the hands, and of course unlock the key that we need for the church. And then once we get the key, you know what time it is. That's right, it's boss fight time. But luckily, the remake understands reason and logic. Instead of villagers pulling out the troll, we see a priest awaken the parasite inside the troll. And then, we actually shoot at its weak spot in order to weaken it and kill it. Everything plays out like the original, so I'm not really going to go over it too much, but let's get to the point where we get to the church and save Ashley. We get to the church and actually solve one of the very few puzzles in this game that's way easier than the original counterpart. We solve it, open the door that leads upstairs, and we go upstairs and find Ashley. And I must admit, I forgot that I had the casual mode on for Ashley, but golly, she is bad.
That's a child, sir!
Ashley Graham, are you in here?
Just let me go.
Listen. Easy with that. My name's Leon. I'm here in the president's orders and... that went well. Hey, it's dangerous outside. You need to listen to me.
What is that? Over there?
Pursue them. The lost lambs are escaping.
Perseguirles.
Deliver unto them. destination.
And that concludes part 2 of Original vs. Remake, Resident Evil 4 Edition. Honestly, there's a lot of stuff to praise about both parts here. The original, for example, I think that the villains are portrayed a lot better. Lord Sadler is simply a mustache-twirling villain that doesn't really believe in what he's saying and is very manipulative, and I really like that. However, in the original, the boss fights really suffer due to that very poor controlling. It's just not very ideal, especially in the troll boss fight, which took me forever and just wasn't fun. It was more infuriating than anything else. But, as I said, there's a lot more game to play, so I'm excited to compare more and more. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. As always, I am Randall Calrissian. God bless, and may the Force be with you. Peace.